Feeling burnt out? You're not alone. Today we're going to explore 3 highly effective strategies that have helped many people regain their energy and their peace of mind, plus a real life story of somebody who has turned their life around using these exact strategies. Stay tuned. If you're new here, then my name is Dr. Elisha Goldstein. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm author of numerous books that discuss these exact strategies. And I am creator of a therapeutic coaching program called Uncover the Power Within. If you want to learn how to work with me more closely, or you just want a collection of free resources, go ahead and click on the links in the description below. Now, if you've ever felt overwhelmed to the point of exhaustion, you know the kind of toll it takes, not just on your body, but on your mind and also on your relationships. So let's dive into some strategies that are going to address these symptoms, and maybe not just the symptoms, but actually the root cause. The first thing we want to talk about is physical release. Burnout is a great name because it manifests physically in our body. It's like when you burn out any kind of engine or anything like that. Like we're literally like exhausted, depleted. Physically, we feel it in our body. Our body feels it and experiences it as a lot of tension and exhaustion. Why? Because when on the way to burnout, there's oftentimes like repeated stress responses that are happening that put us into fight, flight, freeze response. So what does that do? That sends blood flow to our muscles, and our muscles are constantly tensing to either fight, flee, or freeze. And so it's exhausting. Our brain is burning glucose. And so we find ourselves in a constant state of tension. So the first thing we have to be able to recognize how to do is throughout the day is take care of our body. It has less to do with our thoughts in the moment and more to do with our physical body. So even right now, you can check in with your body and see, are there any areas of your body that are tensing? Typically, there are many areas of our bodies that are tensing without us even knowing it. So it's typically in our shoulders. For example, where do we hold stress? You can ask yourself. And it could be in our shoulders, it could be in your back, it could be in your hands, it's oftentimes in our face and we don't even know it. So we want to be able to name and identify where we're feeling this physical reactivity that's happening. And we want to find a way to create release. And so what does that mean? That just means find a way to literally loosen the tension that's happening in the muscles. So that might be like literally letting your shoulders down. Or it might look like stretching things out a little bit to create a little bit more openness and space in the body. Or we can literally take a moment and just kind of like shake ourselves out. What we're trying to do is, and it's very simple, we want to keep it very simple, is just create loosening in the body. So many ways. Singing creates loosening in the body. Yelling, if it's not scaring anyone, can loosen our vocal cords and create loosening in our chest. We can go out and walk. We can go out on a run to kind of create some space in our body. That's the main thing that we want to do. You want to make it fun? Go ahead and dance. Put on your favorite music and dance. The intention here around burnout at the foundation is physiological. You might have heard of a guy named Bessel van der Kolk, which wrote a book called The Body Keeps Score. And if we look at that, it's like, okay, so it's all coming from our body. That's where we want the foundation to do. So when it comes to burnout, check in where your body's bracing, and then find a way to regularly find releases in your body. Okay, next is developing self-compassion. You have heard this term 1,000 times potentially. It's the just the simple recognition that we're struggling and inclining to support ourselves instead of beating ourselves up. Go figure why that might be a healthier option for us. So we want to be able to recognize our needs, and uncovering what our needs are and being able to be aware of in the moment is much harder than it seems. You know, we can say easier said than done. It's very simple, but it's not so easy. And typically we need to do a little research on ourselves to uncover, you know, at any given moments, like what our actual needs are. But it's crucial to understand what your needs are. It's crucial to be able to apply self-care throughout burnout. Even that physical release is a moment of self-compassion to some degree. But it's critical to be able to do that. And so for you, you're asking yourself like, okay, you know, what do I need right now? If I'm burnt out and I need maybe space or moments to take care of myself, then what does that even look like? in my life? Is that just taking a little bit of time to lie on the ground? Is that taking time to be with my pet? Is that taking time out before I arrive at work to be able to take 5 minutes and just put my shoulders down and take some deep breaths, or maybe do a guided meditation that supports more calm in the day, or maybe a self-compassion practice? And it could be any of those things. Or what does that even look like to me to take care of myself? Sometimes that's just a foreign concept, or we confuse it with being self-indulgent. Listen, from a psychologist's point of view, if your nervous system is inflamed from burnout, and you're actually feeling physiological ailments as a result of it, not just your mental health, taking care of yourself is a very logical thing, because when you're more balanced, you're gonna be much better for all the people around you. I've done another video here which talked about boundaries, the importance of boundaries. I'll get into that in a minute. But being able to say no to people and is a way of actually ultimately being more generous to them. So we got to flip the script, because if we say no and we take care of ourselves, we're in a better place for them for the long run. So consider that for a moment, flipping the script on that and asking yourself the critical question: what do you need? What does that look like to take care of yourself? And being able to create a self-care plan where you block out time in your calendar, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever you have time for, but with some level of regularity, to be able to take care of yourself so you can let your shoulders down, you can decrease your stress, and ultimately you can decrease burnout. Now remember, burnout isn't just a mental health issue, it's a physiological issue. It's an issue of cellular inflammation, it's an issue of disease. Stress is the number one factor that impacts longevity in life. And so just considering that for a moment. And asking yourself, what does that look like for me, and how can I create a plan for myself? Okay, so our third tool we're going to use is something called nonviolent communication, which was a way of effectively communicating with people and expressing our boundaries, learning how to say no to people without putting them on the defensive. This was created by a guy named Marshall Rosenberg many years ago. And so we're going to talk about how to express your needs in ways that foster more understanding and respect from other people. Let's go over an example of this. So imagine you're somebody who's typically like people pleasing, who always wants to like do things for others, always the person who's the emotional support, or the person to put on the event maybe, or I don't know, you're always saying yes to everything, but too much. It could be at work or anything like that. And you're wanting to use this to be able to create boundaries, to be able to say no, to be able to take care of yourself because you're burnt out, really. So you might say something, let's say to a person, let's say it was to a friend or a couple friends or something. And you might say, hey, there's something I'm going to share with you. That's something that's been on my mind lately. So the idea with nonviolent communication is to really just kind of name what's happening here without judgment. And what's happening with you from an I statement perspective. So you'd say something like, in the past, I've taken on a lot of responsibility of typically hosting gathering or events, or doing a lot of the cleanup, or when someone's having a hard time, I typically go there and I'm the person that takes care of them. And if let's say have a bunch of siblings and it's one parent and the parent needs caretaking, I'm typically the person that goes and caretakes most of the time. So I've really kind of extended myself physically and emotionally, and I'm noticing when I do that I'm starting to feel really depleted, and when I overextend myself, I tend to get more tired, and my needs for like rest and recharging and caring for myself really get neglected. So notice how we're just kind of like naming what's happening. You're saying I'm doing all these things. I'm noticing like as I do them, my needs are neglected, and the reality is I've been getting sick repeatedly, or my family's getting neglected, or and notice how I'm saying I'm not saying you don't carry your share. We're just kind of like we're just naming it really just for ourselves, and this allows people to receive it and say, wow, I didn't even realize that that was really weighing on you that much. Is there something we can do? Maybe it opens a space for that, and that allows then the person to say what they're needing. So they might say something like, and this could be what I'm needing what I'm noticing I'm needing right now is a bit more balance. I'm needing the ability to say no sometimes, and like I can't host this, or I can't go and see mom today, or without the shame or guilt really that's there, and to ask for support and really sharing the labor or being more equitable around this, taking care of things. This could again be at work and your family, could be anything. So it allows, again, for an expression of the need. And you might have a hard time because you might have an underlying fear. I talk about this in the other boundaries video, but around fear of being left or being, a burden on some, or not being liked by someone. But be open to a potential response, a more kind response that people might be able to convey with you. And they might actually step up, which is going to allow you to create a little more space for yourself. Like you shared a need for them that might be a bit more of a compromise, and they might step up, and then you might be able to really take care of yourself more. So that ability to engage nonviolent communication can be really powerful. So I want to share a story of somebody who actually did this. Her name was Artely. She was somebody who was frequently taking caretaking for her mother, who didn't even live near her, and she had to travel frequently back and forth to go take care of her. And so she was the heavy in that thing, on top of working, on top of having her own family, and all of this. But I'll let her explain it to you, and you can get a sense of it, of what she was able to accomplish in engaging the kind of tools we were talking about here within a therapeutic coaching program as well. So she had community and mentorship. One thing I'd add here is just having the right people around you gives you a real boost in any of this work. But go ahead, listen to what she has to say, and I'll let her kind of share it herself.
I would say like I was just highly reactive despite all my practices. My mother has had a lot of health problems in the last year and for longer, but really the last year and a half. And and she's not one that really believes in mindfulness. I've tried. No. Um, but what I found was with all of her things going on, and I don't live near her, so it's like every other month going to see her. But even, from far away, I was able to remain calm about the things that were happening in her life where she needed my support. Um, and we have a history where there would have been very reactive interactions over the years. And now I don't have that reaction. There might be some little times, but it's not as big a reaction. And then what I notice is that if I'm not as reactive, she doesn't react. So, and she doesn't realize it, but she's not as reactive, right? So, and notice that with my husband as well. I wasn't as reactive with him, and but I would notice him being a little bit more calm when life threw him a curveball. Um, so it was interesting to see how others responded to perhaps how I was acting.
Everything works off cause and effect. And so when we are able to change our internal reactivity from the work that we do, that also impacts the way other people react as well. Because most of us are not conscious. It's a certain patterning that happens in the relationship. So if there was less reactivity within you, and then less conflict and reactivity in the relationship with your mom, with your husband, what was there?
Hmm. Um, uh, just this inner calm and ease and confidence that I had the tools to draw upon when I needed them. And that I was kind of on the track I wanted to be on. Um, like I could just see the benefits happening, calmly reacting, going back to content if I needed it. It was there. I could, review it, and repetition is mastery, right? Um, and just and like and also adding in the self-compassion piece of when I didn't react like I should, being okay with it, not beating myself up about it. I think again it goes to that implicit support. Like the community is there. So like if you have a question, I can't ask my husband about that, but you can go to the community, and that even applies now in the professional training. It's still a community. We're a small community, but it still applies. And there was always this implicit support of whatever was going on. So I felt like I was able to walk through life supported. There's like a whole community behind you supporting and like walking the path along with you. You're not alone. I guess maybe that's, in this together, learning together, moving forward together. It is worth it. It will give you what you need, even when you don't think you need that. Definitely worth it.
Now, if Artely's story inspired you like it does for me, why not start today to get a handle on your emotional health and really put more burnout to rest? Go ahead and click on the links in the description below and apply for the therapeutic coaching program that we have, working together with me and an incredible community to really deeply integrate these tools. We'll set up a consult and make sure that this is the right fit for you before you actually go forward. Otherwise, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more empowering content, and share this with anyone who you think this might benefit as well. Go ahead and check out the description below for more free additional resources too. And for more insights on managing stress and taking control of your mind and your life, I look forward to seeing you in the video that follows this. And my name is Dr. Elisha Goldstein. I'll see you in the next one.